This was actually also really fantastic of electric aviation, not just a dream, but flying.
Yeah.
So you will hear more from us in the upcoming weeks or months. So our technicians, they are so well organized and experienced, so they know how to handle the aircraft and how to fit them in through the doors.
Tell us about your development plans.
First of all, getting young people enthusiastic about aviation, getting them into aviation.
Okay, today we are at Farnborough Air Show, and it's always nice to meet people whom you met on the previous occasions, and that's a good opportunity.
Yeah.
So today we would speak about and discuss our experience of Friedrichshafen AERO. I should say that especially this year, this is my most favorite aviation show. I've been on all shows all around the world, but I think Friedrichshafen AERO is this year, first after COVID year, was really the best.
Yes. Yeah.
So can you just present yourself, tell about who you are, where you born, and what are you doing, by the way?
Yes. So, thank you for the opportunity to speak here. My name is Tobias Bretzel. I'm the show director of AERO Friedrichshafen. I come from Friedrichshafen, so I know the region, I know the venue very well. And also for us, this year was not the biggest, but the most important and for sure one of the most successful editions we had.
And how you evaluate bigger or not bigger? So by number of tickets sold, or?
In terms of the exhibitor numbers and in terms of visitor numbers, it was a little bit behind the record edition of 2019, so pre-pandemic, but just a couple of exhibitors less, and also a couple of visitors less. But at the end, the quality was fantastic, I have to say.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And you are responsible just for aviation part? Because I understand that in Friedrichshafen it's a huge exhibition facility.
Yeah.
And it's like bicycles, boats and so on, but you are doing just aviation.
Exactly, yes. So we have more than 20 events taking place at our venue across the year. Guest events, own events, small events, big events. AERO Friedrichshafen is for sure one of the biggest we have at the venue. We cover the entire venue, 12 halls, the static display, all of that. But we have all sorts of different events. You mentioned the boat show. Another one is a plastic show. We have a lot of leisure topics related in the events, and I'm personally with my team responsible for the aviation sector.
And aviation, it's not only Friedrichshafen, so you do quite a lot of different events globally, yes?
Well, yes. So our company, we've just founded a new company, a joint venture between Messe Friedrichshafen and Messe Frankfurt, and it's called Fernemic. So it's a joint venture between these two trade show organizers, which combines the aviation sector with mainly AERO Friedrichshafen, and our mobility and bicycle sector with Eurobike, which is the biggest bicycle trade show in the world. And that just actually finished yesterday in Frankfurt.
I seen in your LinkedIn, I think.
Yeah. Fantastic job that the team has done there. Big topic, super successful. And yes, so AERO Friedrichshafen, coming back to the aviation segment, is our, let's call it the mothership, the main event. But we also do, and that also just recently happened, AERO South Africa. This is organized by our friends and colleagues from Messe Frankfurt, South Africa. And we support them strategically, but also
because everybody
sales.
Knows AERO Friedrichshafen.
Yes, exactly.
And tell us how it was.
This was actually also really fantastic. Of course, it was much more compact than AERO Friedrichshafen. This year they had round about, I think, 73 exhibitors, more than 3,000 visitors, if I remember correctly. But it was on a different scale, but as important as AERO Friedrichshafen for the South African market, because they have no dedicated trade show, or had no dedicated trade show for general aviation, rotorcraft, business aviation. And this all happened recently at the AERO. And it was just the second event. The first was in 2019. So it's still a young event, which will grow over the next years. Yeah.
And okay, South Africa, anything in China?
Well, we are still looking into China and the Asian market. So we have a partnership there and a show called AERO Asia. But of course now we have to look how this will shake out. It's still planned for November 2023 in Zhuhai.
So it would be your first Chinese show?
Yes. Yeah.
Any other plans like Singapore or United States?
No, not at the moment, but we
Maybe
are...
Latin America?
Yeah, we are monitoring the different markets very closely, the different events which happen there. And especially also with our partner Messe Frankfurt, let's see what options we may have in the future.
Indeed, they should have some...
Well, they have offices worldwide, which can support us there. But of course, the aviation trade show market on a global scale is very saturated already, so you need to come up with a really good concept and a market which makes sense.
But Friedrichshafen AERO is a very good concept. I think
Yes.
I should say that's especially for the smaller aviation, up to maybe very light jets. I think you are covering everything.
Yes,
and
and
it's really
that's-
widely represented.
Yeah, that's also our intention. So we are one part B2B, we are one part B2C, the private pilots, of course. And we want to cover really the entire range of the general aviation, which includes, also drones, but also the business aviation side. You mentioned the light jets. I think we have quite a good option to also get a little bit bigger in the medium-sized business jet segment. Because the quality of people is there, we just need to grow that.
Yeah, and what we just discussed with you, so what as a visitors, we want Friedrichshafen AERO a bit develop towards more B2B communication, maybe like some gathering, maybe some extra content, like maybe some presentations or whatever. So how you see the development?
I think so what I always like is that we have a broad spectrum of topics happening during the 4 days. However, we are always looking into options we could have to fit dedicated topics or side events right before AERO or during AERO. We have to see that. It needs to make sense. But I absolutely agree that we need to have also focusing a little bit more on the B2B visitor topic, getting more international visitors throughout the 4 days, and also increasing our footprint visitor-wise for the business aviation segment.
Yeah, it's indeed flying to Friedrichshafen is not that easy.
Well, yes, that's actually also what we are currently working on the procedures to fly in, but also depart. It needs to be a little bit smoother than it was this year.
Yes.
But what we also need to encourage or need to focus on is that we have a lot of different smaller airfields around Friedrichshafen actually, and as the show grows and the intention to come by plane to AERO, we have a certain amount of slots available each year for Friedrichshafen, but there are other airfields around which we need to, let's say, get a little bit more closer to us in terms of shuttle services.
Yeah.
So that's really important.
Yeah. Traffic is a difficult
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
Friedrichshafen is not prepared for that.
Well, it's not a major capital for sure, but I think that's not a big issue for our industry, because we are used to, go to places. I mean, Oshkosh is also not New York, right? So I'm going to be there in the upcoming days. Everyone's coming into that as well, right? So people find their way if the concept of the show is right and the value is there.
And would you have your stand in Oshkosh, or what is your purpose of the visit?
Well, this year the purpose of our team is especially to actually show ourselves. We had a stand in the past, but since a couple of years we we walk the show, we meet existing exhibitors, which of course, exhibit there as well. We look for new companies, and this year I think it's an important step because we have not been there for the last couple of years due to COVID. We couldn't be there last year, which was a shame. So we want to really showcase ourselves in front of the American market, that we, they are so important to us, so they should see that we value that and travel all the way there and market our event.
But all American aircraft producers are already in Friedrichshafen AERO.
Yes.
So, that was really well represented.
Yes,
this
absolutely. They really, they see the value and the importance of our show. But I think there are quite a few, smaller suppliers and so on, which we tackle there as well. Yeah.
And what I like that in Friedrichshafen, if we compare, for example, eBase, it's so well organized. So you may have aircrafts in hangar, and it's much easier to be there.
Yeah. Well, it's a unique setup, really, which we have in terms of our infrastructure, right?
Yes.
We have a pretty modern venue in general. Yeah, very light, very open, very modern, which is close to the local airport. So we tow the aircraft in over to the static, but as we have a lot of wide hangar doors at our halls, we can really easy tow them in. And I have to say also our technicians, which work in our technical department, they are so well organized and experienced, so they know how to handle the aircraft and how to fit them in through the doors.
And it's so convenient, and you have aircrafts inside, and you can just see aircraft, speak to the people, because what in eBase, sometimes you don't even want to go to the static because you have a control, you have a long line of waiting and buses and so on, so it's unpractical. And at the show you try to save every minute,
That's right. Yeah, it's a different setup given also by the infrastructure, which we are really happy to have there.
Okay, but tell us about your development plans. Where I mean, it's so well developed already. So which directions, which targets do you have? Which key performance indicators you have?
Well, we would like in the future to grow, get strong in the international audience, both in terms of numbers, but also in terms of quality. That's for sure very important for us. We are Europe's really number one and leading show, but we can always grow there. Then I think it's also important to tackle the supply chain topic. I think there's a lot going on because of COVID, because of restrictions.
Sure, absolutely. I agree with you. Yeah.
People all over.
We are missing spare parts.
Yes.
All the producers missing spare parts. And the problem that producers don't really meet the spare parts producers.
Yeah. So we might come up with something dedicated to supply chain. We also want to grow and expand our sustainable aviation topic. So we have had a fantastic eFlight Expo in Hall A7, but we see that growing actually out of that hall into the entire exhibition. So that's why we did for the first time the AERO Sustainable Aviation Trail.
Yes.
And we're going to do that next year as well, to really showcase where and how many companies are involved into sustainable aviation. Another important topic we want to tackle actually is all the, lack of talents in the industry. Lack of talents.
Yes.
So career opportunities, having a certain step-by-step approach there. First of all, getting young people enthusiastic about aviation, getting them into aviation. That's the first step. Then, school children who want to look into a career, getting educated, getting a job into aviation, or getting a trainee or studying this. Then the next level is people who are close to finish some university degrees, that they get a job, that they get a right job in certain areas. And I think that's a big topic, the lack of talents, which everyone is facing in all industries, but also we as AERO, we want to help our industry.
And I understand you don't have really many flight academies.
Oh, well, we have a couple of them in our Be a Pilot section. Yeah,
Okay.
so there flight schools, flight academies can showcase themselves to win,
Because they are at the same time the buyers for the smaller aircraft.
Yes,
So
yes,
it's a good combination.
and youngsters. So
Yes.
it's the ideal setup
Yes.
actually. But the lack of pilots is also another topic which we
Yes.
want to tackle. What else? Well, we always want to increase on our business aviation side, as I mentioned.
And then probably FBOs.
Absolutely, yeah. I
So
think
I haven't seen any FBOs this year.
Yeah, I would have to think a little bit to mention one, but indeed, so the footprint could be stronger at our event as well. And also the educational side of topics, so also related to the business aviation side. We had a business aviation conference. I think we can grow that, make it maybe a little bit more compact in certain topics.
The problem that I have not even noticed that you had a conference.
Yeah, see, that's a lot of, that's also a topic. So we have such 4 days and such a broad variety of subtopics, different aircraft, different brands, and so on, and different conferences. So people need to know faster where they get the relevant content they want to see.
Absolutely.
Product-wise, conference-wise,
Yes,
everything.
yes.
So we had this year over 270 conference topics.
Yeah,
Can you
but
imagine
probably it
that?
has not been really sufficiently promoted.
Yeah, well, it needs to be promoted earlier and in the right channels.
Absolutely, yes.
What I also think this year, maybe that's different next year. This year, people were really keen in not just having a conference, but seeing people face to face, speaking like we do, but also, touching the aircraft, touching the products. That's I think something very special about this year's edition.
And what I seen, but I was not able to do it myself. I seen that some companies they were somehow allowed to do testing, like testing. They were showing how equipment works. So it was like an internal hall, internal areas. That's really interesting. And if you do it like with some schedule, that would be really productive, because they show like how equipment works.
Yes.
And, especially it's for top management people that makes sense.
Yeah, well, there are a lot of things that come up to my mind. We have a headset test area, so testing headsets was at the Bose stand, but also at a lot of others. Also, seminars like Garmin seminar rooms, or also in the flight simulator area, where you could really test the flight simulation stuff out. So these are really the good things. And coming to a kind of a hands-on topic, what we want to do next year, right up front, the main event, which happens next year from the 19th to the 22nd, is the so-called e-flight rally, which we want to do in the days before the event starts, to really finally showcase that electric aviation is not just displayed,
not just a dream,
but flying.
Yeah.
So you will hear more from us in the upcoming weeks or months, but we are working on a concept to make that happen. Yeah.
And you see, I've been at Friedrichshafen AERO for 3 days.
Yeah.
I thought that it's more than enough.
Yeah.
Then finally I understood that it was not. So I had to stay extra 1 day.
Oh, really?
And in fact, this year, coming year, I'm planning maybe to come, and you are telling that's absolutely rightly, that maybe come 1 or 2 days before.
Yeah.
So then I understood that some companies, they were doing some test flights or just kind of equipment tours and so on. So so I understand that that is possible to do, and some additional timing is required.
Absolutely, and I think because of the sheer size of the event and the topics,
it's really big.
There is a need also to structure things a little bit differently than in the past. We also need to work on our media day, which we have in advance next year on the 18th. Because there are so many different topics, and it needs to be balanced out so that people know faster where they get what, where they see what.
Absolutely.
So they make the best out of their stay.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I mean, what we as visitors want, and what I hear from you now, so we have not been really consumed you sufficiently. I mean, you produced good products, but we have not been even knowing what like conferences and so on.
I mean, one thing that always helps, and we will for sure do this next year as well, is our show app, which helps you to structure your visit better.
Yes.
And we will.
But
work
you don't
on
have
that.
it yet.
We had it.
Really?
We had it also this year. In the years.
I never heard.
So and it actually worked pretty well. We're gonna improve it next year further on. But that really gives you, you know, the possibility to highlight certain exhibitors, to make your individualize your trip via the app, make notes and so on.
Yeah, that's very valuable. Yes. And I agree. Maybe you can. I just seen it in AERO show. They were doing like for those who interested, kind of guided tours. So
guided
they were
tours,
just on different subjects. They were just showing. For example, this is a producer of whatever. Navigation equipment, so you can just go all around and see all this navigation stuff, or flight academies. So you can, because in most of cases they are located in different parts, and you are not able to really trace.
It's at the end everyone decides where they want to stay, and I mean we try to group topics already, like avionics avenue, engine area, maintenance area.
No, but then you have sometimes national corners or like partnership arrangements, and you know, sometimes even smallest company having the most interest for the visitors. So, but you simply cannot find it. So that's
So probably something to look into for next year as well.
I'm really looking forward to AERO 2023, because I think from the point of view of efficiency, not just, you know, not to consider like one more show. But from the point of view of efficiency, I think Friedrichshafen AERO for me of great importance. So I met quite a number of new partners, new friends. I came to know some like new innovations, and in fact something was not really for me, but I already shared with some aircraft producers, because they were interested to hear some my suggestion. And
so that's also a great I would say USP of our show, that it has always been a mirror of the industry, and that means it has always been innovation driven. We have had so many innovations on display at our events in the past. Not all the manufacturers of these innovations have been marketed them in advance enough, but it's always sometimes a little, you can find that good or bad, but it's a little surprise box what you see at AERO, because some things, some exhibitors get ready last minute before the show, and then they say, oh, it's finished, I can present it, and then there's no real marketing in advance. And also because some of them are small companies, they don't have 10 persons working in marketing and PR, but you discover a lot of innovations, and a lot of these innovations you will probably see in the future in the commercial aviation. So that's an important thing. So if some people say, oh, that's the little part of aviation, well, that's the innovative part of aviation, where technologies are tested for, I mean, probably what you see here. Winglets are an example, for example. Or let's say also electric aviation with Pipistrel and all the others.
No, I agree. And the Diamond presented new electrical aircraft.
Yes. Tecnam is also very innovative on that as well.
But indeed, it would be really interesting if you manage somehow to organize business aviation part. I mean, to give us extra opportunity to meet, or to just at least to change cards with people, because it's really big and you
Yeah.
cannot really find or meet all people.
Yes.
And they are in different places.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you do something more devoted to business aviation,
Right.
just place to meet.
Yeah.
And maybe you can just promote like it's, for example, one day, because
Yeah.
then more people would come. It would be easy
Focused.
for some
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
come at least just for one day.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Maybe to do it like this. But I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, we as well. Looking forward to see you there latest
Yes,
then. Yeah.
sure.
Perfect.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the opportunity.
And thank you. It was really a pleasure.
Great. Yeah. Enjoy the rest of the
Yes,
show
yes,
here.
thank you. I'm happy that we finally met. Been friends in LinkedIn for a while, following each other, and now we are here.
That's the advantage of trade shows.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.